Hey there, I am Liam. Welcome back to Fluent English Podcast. If you've been studying English for years but still freeze when it's time to speak, don't worry, you're definitely not alone. Millions of learners feel exactly like you. But here's the truth. Speaking English fluently isn't about studying harder. It's about building confidence, using the language in real life, and letting go of the fear of making mistakes. Let's start with something simple. Studying English and speaking English are not the same thing. They use different parts of the brain. Think about how most people learn English. They read textbooks, memorize grammar rules, and write essays. That's called passive learning. It means the brain is receiving information, understanding it, but not using it in real time. Now, speaking is active learning. It's fast, emotional, and unpredictable. When someone asks a question, there's no time to stop and think about grammar or vocabulary. The brain has to find the right words instantly. Here's an example. Imagine reading about how to ride a bicycle for 10 years, studying balance, speed, and safety. But if you never actually get on the bike, you won't know how to ride. Speaking English works the same way. You can know all the rules, but without practice, your mouth and brain don't move together naturally. That's why many learners can understand English perfectly but freeze when they try to speak. Their brain is trained to recognize English, not to produce it. So what's the solution? Practice speaking every day, even short sentences. Talk to yourself, describe what you're doing, or repeat lines from movies. The goal is to make English automatic, not perfect. Now that we understand how passive learning holds us back, let's talk about another big reason people stay silent: fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of sounding wrong, fear of being judged. Let's move into our next one, the fear factor. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to speaking English. Even learners who know a lot of grammar and vocabulary often stay quiet because they're afraid of making mistakes. Let's be honest, speaking a new language can feel scary. You might worry that people will laugh, that your accent sounds strange, or that you'll forget a word mid-sentence. But here's the truth. Every fluent speaker has made thousands of mistakes. Think about how children learn to talk. They make grammar errors all the time, but no one stops them. They just keep speaking, and that's how they improve. Adults, on the other hand, often want to sound perfect before they even start. That perfectionism creates silence. The key is to change how you see mistakes. Instead of thinking, "I failed," think, "I practiced." Every time you speak, even if it's not perfect, your brain gets faster and more confident. Try this. When you speak English, smile and focus on communication, not perfection. People care more about your message than your grammar. And remember, confidence doesn't come before speaking. It comes from speaking. Now that we've faced the fear, let's look at another reason speaking feels so hard: the environment around you. Because even the bravest learner can't grow without the right space to practice. Let's move into our next topic, the missing environment. Imagine trying to learn swimming without water. You can read about it, watch videos, even memorize every stroke. But until you get into the pool, you'll never really swim. The same goes for English. Many learners study in classrooms or online, but they rarely use English in daily life. Without real conversations, your brain doesn't get the chance to connect words quickly. Speaking is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. That's why people who move to English-speaking countries or join conversation groups often improve faster. They're surrounded by the language. They hear it, respond to it, and make mistakes in real time. And that's what builds fluency. But you don't have to move abroad to create that environment. You can build one wherever you are. Watch movies or YouTube videos in English and repeat short lines out loud. Join online speaking clubs or language exchange apps. Talk to yourself in English. Describe your day, your plans, or what you see around you. The goal is to make English part of your daily life, not just your study time. The more your brain hears and uses English naturally, the faster it becomes your second voice. So, we've talked about fear and environment, two powerful forces that shape how we speak. But there's another hidden challenge that slows many learners down: thinking in their native language instead of English. Let's explore that next one: thinking in English. Most learners don't realize this, but one of the biggest reasons speaking feels slow or difficult is because they're still thinking in their native language. Here's what usually happens. Someone asks you a question in English. Your brain first understands it, then translates it into your native language, thinks of an answer, and then tries to translate that answer back into English. By the time you're ready to speak, the moment has passed. This constant translation is like trying to run while carrying a heavy backpack. It slows you down. To become fluent, you need to train your brain to think directly in English. That means forming ideas, emotions, and reactions in English without translating. How can you do that? Start small. When you see something, name it in English. That's a red car. When you're cooking, describe what you're doing. I'm cutting the vegetables. When you're planning your day, think in English. I'll go to the store after lunch. At first, it feels strange, but over time, your brain starts to connect English words directly to meaning, not to your native language. Another great trick is to use short, simple sentences. Don't worry about sounding perfect. The goal is to make English your thinking language, not your translation language. Now that your mind is starting to think in English, there's one more piece of the puzzle: how English sounds. Because fluency isn't just about words, it's also about rhythm, tone, and flow. Let's move into our last one: sound and rhythm. English has its own music, a rhythm that makes it sound natural and alive. If you've ever listened to native speakers, you've probably noticed how their voices rise and fall, how some words are stressed, and how others are softer. That's what gives English its melody. Many learners focus only on grammar and vocabulary, but they forget about sound. And sound is what makes your speech clear and confident. Think of English like a song. Every sentence has a beat. For example, listen to this: I want to go to the store. Notice how some words are stronger? That's rhythm. To improve your rhythm and pronunciation, try these simple habits. Shadowing. Listen to a short clip of a native speaker and repeat it at the same time, copying their tone and speed. Choose a favorite actor, YouTuber, or podcaster and mimic how they speak. Not just the words, but the emotion and flow. Recording yourself. Speak for 1 minute about any topic, then listen back. You'll start to hear where your rhythm feels natural and where it needs work. The more you listen and repeat, the more your mouth and ears learn to move together. Over time, your speech becomes smoother, faster, and more natural, just like music. So, we've explored how mastering the rhythm can transform your speaking skills. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've explored why studying English for years doesn't always lead to fluency. And more importantly, what can be done about it? If there's one message to take away, it's this: fluency isn't about perfection. It's about connection. Every time you speak, even if it's not perfect, you're building a bridge between what you know and what you can express. So, speak a little every day. Talk to yourself. Record your voice. Join a conversation group. Or repeat lines from your favorite shows. Don't wait for confidence to appear. Create it through action. The more you use English, the more it becomes part of who you are. Thank you for joining me today. If you need, play the video 2 times to make sure you catch every detail. If this episode helped or inspired you, Subscribe to our channel. Share it with a friend who's learning English too. Together, small steps become big progress. Until next time, keep speaking, keep listening, and keep growing.